The average attention span of an adult human is 8 seconds. This means that by this moment, I may have lost the attention of 50% of this audience sitting here in front of me. However, I do not think that is the case right now, because there is something out of the pattern, there is something out of the ordinary happening around my face. And this is this crazy thing sitting on top of my head. This is not some Hungarian fashion accessory. Hello? This is not some Hungarian fashion accessory. This is actually a brain scan device that can visualize, analyze my brain real time. So I don't know if you signed up for this, but we are going to take an inside look into me. Get ready. Okay, that is my brain. And those colorful areas is my brain activity visualized real time. This is called brain waves. And as you can see, my brain is very busy. It is very busy for 2 reasons. Number 1 is that I am performing a very complex task of speaking, moving around at the same time, and that is something very hard for the brain to execute. The other reason why my brain is so busy, it is because I am freaking out right now, giving a presentation to all these people, and we had a little bit of a technical trouble at the beginning, so naturally my brain is reacting to that. And that is going to be partially the topic of today. So to demonstrate how my brain reacts, although right now it is way too busy, I am going to stand in silence for 5 seconds. In theory, my brain will calm down, let's see, and then I will jump a little bit around, and in theory, my brain will go from a sleepier mode to an explosion. I cannot guarantee it will happen, but let's see. So, moment of silence for 5 seconds. Okay, and then if I start moving around, my brain is exploding. So, let's switch out. No longer looking at my brain. Okay, so as I mentioned, these colorful things are actually brain waves. This is a representation of brain activity, and you can see different colors in there. Understanding which brain wave originates in which part of the brain, we can understand so many things about the human that is going through that. For instance, some brain waves are associated with insight, concentration, relaxation, visualization, and deep sleep. And me and my team at Harvard Innovation Labs, we analyzed how do viral and non-viral videos affect these brain waves, as well as we analyzed the facial expressions and the eye movement of people consuming this viral and non-viral content. And here is kind of the output of our research. What you can see here in front of you on the top left corner, that is an input video. It is season 1, episode 1 of Stranger Things. Those green dots are not part of the input video. That is where people are looking as they are consuming this piece of content. So we just overlaid those green dots. On the right-hand side, it is my brain again as I am watching Stranger Things. And below it, there are all the data that we got out from the brainwaves, facial expressions, and eye movement. For instance, we identified things such as engagement, negative, positive emotions, confusion, surprise, anger, sadness, disgust, and more. And we translated those data points into the numbers below. As I am playing this video, you can see that red line moving. That is, as we are hitting these emotional moments, you will see that there is going to be a big spike. This is a little loud. There is going to be a big spike of emotional moment in a few seconds. That's when the scientist is being taken by the monster. While you are watching this, don't look at me because I'm going to take this off and fix my hair. And as you can see later in the video, there are no more negative emotions. It is switching to a more positive emotions, that is the green area. that is when the children in Stranger Things start playing Dungeons and Dragons. So I think that was the intention of the creators, to start bringing in more positive emotions as we go ahead. So today we are going to talk about viral videos. The way this section is structured is that first I am talking a little bit about the brain, and then how viral videos impact the brain. I would like to point out two things. Number one, I am greatly simplifying how the brain works. This is for the purposes that we have only 45 minutes together. And the second thing is that this is a little bit more a session for beginners. So if MrBeast happens to sit in the audience, I think he already knows everything that I am going to say about this. So let me introduce you to the brain. Simplified, the brain has two major areas. The one in the middle is so-called the automatic brain, and one on the outside is the more conscious brain. The automatic brain is often referred to as System 1. This is what we are using when we are so-called thinking fast. This part of our brain in the middle is more unconscious, more emotional, and it requires little or no effort to run this. For instance, if you are on a diet and you see your favorite food, you know that you shouldn't eat it, but you still eat it, and that is typically dictated by this inner brain, this automatic System 1 brain. On the outside of our brain, more here in the front, it is the conscious brain. This is referred to as System 2, and this is what we refer to as thinking slow. This is intentional, this is rational, this is effortful. There are three key points that I would like to demonstrate regarding the two different parts of the brain. The first is that this outer, more conscious part is what makes us human. Many animals do have this outer brain, but to a lot smaller proportion. What you see in front of you is the brain of a monkey, cat, dog, chimp, and a human, and then the blue is this more conscious outer brain. And as you can see, while these animals do have part of this brain, the humans have it to a lot bigger extent. The second thing about these two parts of the brain is that we didn't always have this conscious brain. We got it through evolution. So if you look here, the first 5 gentlemen do not really have a forehead. Their head ends right above their eyebrows. And the reason why is that they didn't really have this conscious part of the brain, and so they had to develop it. And once we developed it, we needed more place for it in our brain. That's why we have a forehead. And finally, the third thing about this more conscious part of the brain is that we do not have it throughout our entire life. What you see in front of you is the brain of a 5-year-old, preteen, teen, and 20-year-old. And the redder or greener the areas of the brain are, the less developed those are. So as you can see, even a 20-year-old has some green parts here up front. That is because that part of the brain, this conscious part of the brain, didn't yet fully develop. So if you did something stupid still in your early 20s, do not blame yourself, blame evolution. Your brain simply wasn't yet fully developed. But if you did something after age 25, it's time to rethink your decisions. By the way, this research is not only my research, this is the research of many, many universities, and I specifically would like to talk about this gentleman. His name is Daniel Kahneman. He passed away 1.5 years ago, and he wrote a fantastic book, Thinking Fast and Slow, the fast referring to this more inner part of the brain, and the slow referring to this more outer conscious part of the brain. He did win, I believe, a Nobel Prize for his research. So, that was the introduction to the brain. Now let's talk about viral videos. There are 3 key points that I am going to talk about here. Number 1 is that viral videos stimulate our brain in similar ways. So for this, there is another demonstration of my brain again. On the upper left-hand side, again, there is season 1, episode 1 of Stranger Things. That's the input video. On the right-hand side, my brain, as it reacts to that. So it's a very exciting video. You will see that my brain is very, very engaged. And below it, it is a video that is called 10 hours of paint drying. Not the most exciting video out there, and you will be able to see that my brain doesn't react too much to that. I did not watch 10 hours of paint drying for context. Maybe I watched it for 5 minutes or so. And so I'm going to play it. You can clearly see the difference in engagement between the two brains. The upper one is exploding, very engaged, the lower one less so. By the way, it is a joke on me a little bit because this 10 hours of paint drying video actually has 2 million views on YouTube, so it completely disproves my theory, but just stay with me. I think people click on it and they are not watching it for 10 hours straight, super engaged. I think they click on it because the title is very important, very interesting. So the second point I want to talk about when it comes to videos is virality is scientific and largely predictable. We did see how the brain reacts to viral versus less viral videos, and translating those data into an engagement metric, we can kind of predict what will go viral. And by the way, here engagement is not the typical engagement that we mean, like comment, like, share. This is engagement as how engaged you are as you are watching this video second by second. What you can see in front of you is the comparison between two videos. These are two long-form videos, the first 2 minutes of these two long-form videos, and this engagement metric that we discussed. And so you can see the upper one shows more engagement and the lower one a little bit of less engagement. And so here is my question to you. Which video do you think was more successful? The top one? Hands up. Okay. And then, or the lower one? Okay. The top one wins, and that is true. That is a MrBeast video. It is a $1 versus $1 million hotel room. But interestingly, also the lower one is a MrBeast video. It is the I hunted 100 people. Both are extremely successful, of course, and both were released roughly at the same time. So MrBeast video making skills was very similar already, but the top one generated more engagement, and this is also displayed of how many views those videos got. The top one got 382 million as of March, and then the lower one, 219 million, which is still insane. And then the third point is because viral videos stimulate the brain in similar ways, they are scientific and largely predictable, and therefore virality is somewhat hackable. So in this section, the way it is structured is that I am going to go through 3 key levers that impact the automatic brain, and then 3 key levers that impact the conscious brain. So the section is, first we go to the automatic, 3 key levers, and then the conscious, 3 key levers. A quick note, to go viral, it is easier to impact the automatic brain. And there are 2 key reasons for that. The first one is that it is mostly kids or young people who are watching YouTube videos, and as mentioned, this conscious outer part of their brain is not yet developed, so it's easier to engage the more inner part of their brain, their automatic. I believe about 35% of YouTube consumers are below the age of 25 in the United States. And then the second reason, even if you are an adult and you are just scrolling through YouTube, scrolling is often a very automatic activity. It requires little effort. You are optimizing to simulating this more inner part of your brain. So we are going to spend more time on levers affecting the automatic brain and less time on the conscious brain. 3 key levers that you can use to impact the automatic brain is attention, emotions, and comprehension. There are many more. Again, we just have 45 minutes together, so I am just mentioning the most important ones. Under each lever, first I'm going to talk a little bit about evolution, then how it impacts us in our everyday life, and then what it means for YouTubers. So through evolution, for millions of years, we were surrounded by very simple surroundings that didn't change too much. Whenever there was a sudden change in our surrounding, that typically meant that we are being attacked. So we had to fight or flight. So quick changes around us naturally drive our attention. About 100 years ago, we created the first screens, and marketers very quickly realized that this is a great tool to get people's attention. So now, the kind of things that surround us look like this. This is Times Square, and naturally the sudden changes and the colors are all optimized to get our attention. So one YouTuber, for instance, who is very good at using visual impacts to get people's attention is this gentleman. He is creating cooking content. And he uses frequent cuts of very engaging visuals to drive us in. For instance, in this video, I'm going to play the first 10 seconds, and I invite you to try to count how many cuts does he have in the first 10 seconds. So, are you ready? Let's go.
My name is Jeff.
Okay, that was 10 seconds. So I had the benefit of stopping the video and count the number of cuts, and it's 17 cuts in 10 seconds, which is insane. Our brain can barely process all these visuals. And as you can see, there is no music on the video, there is no real storyline. It is just very engaging visuals right after each other, and it drives us in, mostly because we are not yet really used to it from an evolutionary perspective. Another great way to get our attention is something that is called the curiosity gap. That is what your audience knows and what they might want to know, and the curiosity gap is basically the bridge in between these two. This is often leveraged in the thumbnails. For instance, this creator, I think, is fantastic in it. He's creating videos such as the world's largest Jello pool, can you swim in Jello? I am immediately curious whether I can swim in Jello, or this one, egg drop from space. Obviously, there are a million other ways to get someone's attention. I am just focusing on the most basic ones or easiest to implement. The second thing is emotions. So this is a painting from, I think, 5,000 years ago from the south of Argentina. A tribe created it. And I'm showing this to demonstrate that we are social little animals. We need each other to survive. We are not some cool snow leopard roaming the fields alone. We are more like little suricatas huddled together. We need each other to survive. And in order to survive, we need to understand each other's emotions. So emotions drive us in. And in our everyday life, when we see someone having very, very strong emotions, we almost immediately engage. For instance, massive sport events like the Football World Cup or the or soccer, I'm in the States. So the Soccer World Cup and the Olympics, we obviously watch it because of the sportsmanship, the speed, the strength of this athlete, but we also watch it because we can see these massive emotions. I think this is one of the most liked pictures on Instagram. Messi is obviously very happy, and his happiness drives us in. Same for Usain Bolt, or this image of Muhammad Ali. You can almost feel his power. Also, if you are not displaying the right level of emotions, that can also go viral. For instance, this gentleman from the Paris Olympics, many people observed him as being too cool or like too emotionless, I guess, for the Olympics, so that can also get our attention. So, a couple of creators use emotions in a fantastic way. This is a group, their name is Dude Perfect, and they do trick shots. And yes, the trick shots they do are absolutely fantastic, but my theory is that one thing that drives us in is how they are celebrating those trick shots. So here we are going to watch a little video of them celebrating. Get ready, it's gonna be very loud. Okay, so a little bit of an somewhat exaggerated celebration, but I think the purpose is to drive the viewer in. Another phenomenal creator who uses emotional content is MrBeast. Now, obviously, he uses many other levers, just like the other creators, but in reality, I think one of his biggest strengths is the emotions that he manages to display. So let me walk you through his content creation journey. In 2012, this was his first video. No emotions, we cannot see his face. In his voice, he's displaying no emotions, and there is no real storyline. Then 5 years later, in 2017, he created his first somewhat viral video, where he went up to a homeless gentleman and he gave him money. And we can see the homeless person displaying emotions. And MrBeast saw that this was successful. So he repeated it a year later, but at this time we are walking up closer to this gentleman and we can see his emotions more. And MrBeast realized this works. 2019, he started giving money to streamers who had their camera on already, so it was easy for him to capture their emotional reactions, and these are very strong, of course. Then later, this was Squid Games, I think. You can literally see the cameraman running after the person celebrating. 2023, curing the eyesight of many people. Again, very, very emotional moments. And now we arrive to 2025 when there is the MrBeast games, and it's basically emotions after emotions, very extreme emotions. Not only when we see people having emotions, do we feel emotions, but if someone is very funny, obviously that gives us emotions as well. This creator is Jenna Marbles. She's just being very funny. She created this video, how to trick people into thinking you are good looking. Hilarious video, we get emotions just through her jokes. Okay, the final lever when it comes to impacting this automatic brain is comprehension. This brain is again kind of like a child's brain. It can get overwhelmed and bored. So when it is bored, it scrolls away. When it is overwhelmed, it scrolls away again. So you are kind of shooting for something in between that engages the brain enough but doesn't overwhelm it. And I think a fantastic creator for it is NASdaily. In this video, you will see that he uses many levers to help the audience understand his content the best way possible. For instance, he structures his sentences very similar to each other. He's saying like, when this man was 3 years old, this and this happened. When this man was 30 years old, this and this happened. He uses text very effectively. And whenever he is talking about something, that's what he's displaying on his video. All this to help this automatic brain better understand what is happening. So let's watch it together.
This man shouldn't be alive. When he was 3 years old, his mother died in an earthquake. When he was 35, he got stuck in the middle of the ocean for 77 days, almost depressed.
Okay. I think you understand. So that was about the automatic brain. Again, that can help you more go viral. When it comes to the conscious brain, it is a little bit of a different story. You can still go viral targeting this part of the brain, but it is a little bit harder. So when it comes to impacting this conscious brain, there are 3 key levers. The content has to be valuable, memorable, and shareable. When it comes to value, there are some content creators who are very good at that. For instance, this creator, Dad, How Do I Channel, where he's literally asking everyday questions, such as how to shave, how to jumpstart a car, how to fix a running toilet. You obviously get value by watching these videos. Another creator here is Physics Girl. She is talking about science in a very engaging way. Her content is very valuable. You learn something when you are watching these videos. And finally, Marcus. He creates tech reviews that can be very, very valuable for the people who are about to buy an iPhone, a Samsung Galaxy phone, or a Tesla. The second lever here is that something has to be memorable. That we process memory in many different parts of the brain, but one of the key parts is this frontal part of memory process, of processing memory. There are many, many ways how you can impact memory. One thing that is used over and over again is the hero's journey. This is a typical story when we have a hero who has a problem and several flaws, and as the hero is solving the problem, he is coming out better at the end. This story resonates with many people, and no surprise that Hollywood uses it over and over again. Typically in this format, such as once upon a time, there was a lonely orphan who was friends with 2 social outcasts. The trio lived happily until an evil came, and then the evil tried to take over, and thankfully they defeated this evil, and everything was better at the end, and they also grew in the meantime. So stories resonate a lot with people, especially affecting this frontal part of the brain. and that helps create virality. One creator who is a very, very good storyteller, in my opinion, is MrBallen. He is not really using this storytelling format, but he is an extremely good storyteller. He barely uses any other levers mentioned before. So no frequent cuts, he's not really displaying emotions, but he's such a good storyteller that just by standing in front of a green screen, he can engage people. And then the last thing can impact this conscious brain is that something is shareable. So as mentioned, we are social little animals. We care a lot about what other people think about us. And so for that reason, trends are very important because they are part of social currency. 10 years ago, maybe many of you don't remember because you are very young, planking was very, very popular. And now TikTok dances are popular, and who knows what is going to be popular 10 years from now, but this thing often changes. So all this to sum up that virality is hackable, and in this last part of my presentation, I would like to review with you 3 videos, and I would invite you to think of all these levers that the creators are using when they put together these viral videos. So how they are impacting the automatic brain and how they are impacting the conscious part of the brain. So this is video 1.
Hey, you want an iPhone?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yo, I love the costume. Here's an iPhone.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, you get 2 for having a Minecraft costume. Don't drop your iPhones. Happy Halloween. Hey, here's $10,000.
Okay.
No, it's yours. No, keep it.
No, but you keep it.
Hey, here's an iPhone. Here's an iPhone. You want one as well? Here you go. Happy Halloween. You want an iPhone? Here you go. Happy
Good.
Halloween.
I think you got the idea. So how do you think, it is a MrBeast video, who, for whoever doesn't know, the title is, I think, giving out iPhones during Halloween. And how do you think it impacts this automatic and conscious brain? In my opinion, MrBeast is very good in attention, emotions, and comprehension. When it comes to attention, this video had frequent cuts, so he clearly leveraged this visual appeal. It also had a curiosity gap. The title of the video is giving out iPhones for Halloween. That immediately creates a curiosity because usually people in the United States give out candies during Halloween. It also uses emotions very effectively. The first few seconds, we can immediately see this child. He's very, very excited, and his excitement draws us in. And finally, it is very easy to comprehend. The video is not extremely complicated, no very difficult language, etc., etc. When it comes to impacting this conscious part of the brain, I think it's not that valuable piece of content. It is somewhat memorable, and it is very, very shareable. By the way, no shade on MrBeast or anything, trying to create content that ticks every single box. That is impossible. That's not going to achieve anything. That is not going to go viral. Then this is another creator. She's talking about this CAPTCHA on the computers. So let's watch the first few seconds.
Question. Why can't a robot just click, "I'm not a robot"? Robots are pretty good at those ones now, but the box test.
So when it comes to her video, I think when it comes to attention, emotions, and comprehension, she's targeting those levers a little bit less because, in my opinion, she's more targeting adults in this. So her content is very valuable, it is somewhat memorable, and it is very shareable because we have to click every single day, all of us, this reCAPTCHA thing. And so the final session I want to evaluate is mine. That is me on a different conference, same dress. And this is how I would evaluate my current section. When it comes to the automatic brain, I try to bring your attention in as much as I could in this live format. I displayed my brainwaves at the beginning. I hope it was engaging. When it comes to emotions, I couldn't really display emotions on stage, apart from me freaking out when at the beginning the technology didn't quite work. That may have drawn you in. And when it comes to comprehension, I try to do my best to explain these concepts to you. My first language is not English, so I was trying to do my best to help with visuals. When it comes to the conscious brain, I try to make it valuable to you by giving you information that you might find interesting, and I try to make it shareable. And with that, I would like to thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.